Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com. What are you going to get the happy couple?
Well, hopefully they don't have a fall wedding. Am I right?
Yes, it will probably be a spring wedding.
Well, I would assume that they're going to be engaged through the entire season. This is one of those where, how these athletes delete their, not delete, but go off social media
Sure.
for the year. Like if you're Kelce, you want to bang this out. You don't want to do this next week, when the season started, because you got to play Friday in a foreign country, right? Next Friday. So you want to get this out of the way now. You celebrate through the weekend. You start football season, and I think all this stuff kind of sort of starting to percolate up, in these, whether it's a GQ article or I think there's an ESPN article about Kelce that came out today, where it's pretty clear this is his last season, right? He's gearing up, wants to go out on top. I think he's going to have a monster year, personally. Engage the era, Trav, right?
Yeah.
Why not? Go out and have a big season. But, yeah, maybe I'll get them a little snow on the – maybe they can have a wedding with some snow on the beach.
That'll be fun. By the way, just I just want to pause from I wouldn't know the name of songs. But I do want to alert Victoria that entire answer can be cherry-picked into the greatest promo ever that will compromise Will. So
I'm a Swiftie, man. I love Taylor Swift.
I do too. I'm not a Swiftie, but I do. I talked about it for 2 days. 2 different segments last week. A preview segment of her appearance on New Heights, and then I guess 2 weeks ago, and then a recap. The New Heights
episode was fantastic. I thought she was great on that.
I enjoyed it. I watched all. It was way longer than I anticipated it being. All right, so let's get into some of the signings. Trey Hendrickson basically had his salary doubled for the year by Cincinnati, but the Bengals wouldn't go as far as to guaranteeing him another season. Of course, they have the franchise tag. Give me your thoughts on Trey Hendrickson. 1 year at $29 million plus the ability to earn another $1 million, I guess, if Mike Brown feels generous.
Yeah, we've seen the Bengals do this a lot. And by the way, just want to point out that, we talk about these signings. It's interesting that we talk about these signings throughout the offseason, then the week before the season actually gets here, it's okay, we got a little urgency now. Let's get these things together. The Bengals is kind of it's just sort of a Band-Aid version of a franchise tag, basically, right? They're saying, okay, we're going to commit to you for 1 year, and then we'll sort of figure it out. And, if I'm Cincinnati, I'm trying to figure out a way to pay him and keep him around because he's a really good football player. And I don't really want to mess with the idea of losing Trey Hendrickson, but I also, sort of understand, all right, you got Al Golden in there now as the new DC. Let's see how this defense looks. We pay, they're just sort of, they're not in limbo because they need to win. They have Joe Burrow and they have these wide receivers and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase under contract. You need to go win. But, it's also, it's one of those where because they've outlaid so much for Burrow and those wide receivers, this is what we've talked about before. This is the compromise that comes into play. I would have paid him a little bit more to keep him on for a couple of years and keep him happy, but he'll be motivated. He's going to go out there and probably play great. Then they'll have this whole nonsense again next offseason.
Yeah, see, that's the problem for me is that, do we really believe that Cincinnati – I'm not even sure Cincinnati would use the franchise tag on him because the franchise tag next year, that could be closing in on $40 million, no?
Yeah, and I think at bare minimum, let's say he gets in his incentives, the franchise tag can't – it's already going to be up there around 40. I don't think this would come into play, but the franchise tag automatically, I believe, has to be 120% of your previous year's salary. So, if you were making X, you can't be tagged below that. That was part of the CBA. So, at bare minimum, you're looking at $36 million if he hits that incentive. Yeah. So, that's a pretty compromised position if you're the Cincinnati Bengals as it relates to Trey Hendrickson for next year. In other words, if he plays great, maybe you got to figure out a deal, or maybe you just let him walk and enjoy your third-round comp pick.
Yeah, Cincinnati might do that. And yet another defensive player signs before Micah Parsons. Isn't that great for the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, you know what's really fast? Have you watched the Cowboys, or like whatever, the Gamblers football team on Netflix?
No,
it's really good.
Okay,
it's very Last Dance-esque in the sense of you can sort of see who's pulling the strings a little bit behind the editorial control, but it's really good. There's some great footage from those '90s Cowboys and like just the drama that unfolds there, and like the sort of like the. Yeah, it's really worth watching. Before the season starts. One of the things that I took from that is during that negotiation in '92 with Emmitt Smith, where Emmitt sat out the first two games and the Cowboys started 0-2. Throughout that whole thing and throughout the whole documentary, Jerry talks about how he likes the Cowboys to be a 365-day-a-year soap opera.
Yes, he does.
And how he's been doing this. Emmitt was Rookie of the Year in 89, I think, Rookie of the Year. 90 led the league in rushing. 91 led the league in rushing. They win a Super Bowl. He's like, I want to be paid. And his demand, it is hilarious in hindsight, but it's like his demand was, he's like, I want to be the highest paid running back in football, which was like $13.1 million or $13.6 million total. But he wanted $17 million, and Jerry's like, we'll give you $9 million. I mean, it's just like hilarious. In hindsight, it's hilarious. But I mean, just sort of like, seeing those negotiations and how they played out even back then, and then seeing how these negotiations all play out now, it is just clear Jerry just likes to drag things out. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if, come Monday, with all the headlines that we've gotten about Micah Parsons this offseason, all the discussion about the Cowboys, all the sort of buzz that comes with it, this 365 soap opera, then we just don't get a deal done on Monday. Like, I'm not sweating Micah Parsons missing any time or not getting paid. They're not going to trade him, and he's one of the best defensive players in football. He'll get paid.
So because we heard Jerry actually say this, I think it was 2 weeks ago, that he does want to keep the Cowboys in the news. I'm curious because this does speak to whether or not he is of sound mind. If he is paying attention at all, the Cowboys are talked about every day nationally when it comes, and they would be talked about every day even if it wasn't about Micah Parsons. We would be talking about Dak Prescott. We would be talking about how great Micah Parsons is and why Dallas, what are they missing? How come Dallas isn't a Super Bowl favorite? Have you looked, and I know you do look at this, and by the way, I can bring this up because it is Futures Day across all, FanDuel, right?
I think it's just on FanDuel. Yeah, they're dropping a bunch of I
was going to say across all across all FanDuel apps.
Like if you want to make your Patriots bet. By the way, I looked after we talked about this a few weeks ago. The Patriots are like minus 120 to make the playoffs. That is a weird number.
That is strange too. Yes.
Yeah, but if you wanted to make your bet on the Patriots to make the playoffs, today would be the day until like 3. I think for the next like 2 hour and a half, you can get a 50% boost or something like that
on FanDuel. Bet back. So the Cowboys have longer Super Bowl winning odds than the Bears. If you're Jerry Jones, that is egregious.
It's a little ridiculous. I would suggest that perhaps that is more about the Bears and less about the
Who cares if it's more about the Bears? The Bears have been a train wreck for most of my lifetime. Yeah. That is embarrassing to the Cowboys.
No, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and disagree with you at all. I mean, I see the Cowboys at 55-1 to win the Super Bowl. That's kind of a
they have bumped up now. They are at 4. They're plus on FanDuel. They're plus 4,000. The Bears are at plus 3,500. The Buccaneers are at plus 2,500. Anyway, I just found all of that.
Not to question anything about not bringing into question FanDuel's future prices. I would just note that interesting how short that got on Futures Day. Almost like a 50% boost you're getting is taking you back to what the original number is across the market.
It's a very good point. It's a very good point. The Ravens, Eagles, Bills numbers basically didn't move. Chiefs numbers didn't move, but the longer odds, you're right.
Everybody's numbers moved 50% before the 50% bet.
Oh, that's like when you go to the grocery store and you get $2 off. Wait a second, that's more expensive than it normally is. Exactly. Will Brinson is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Should the Panthers consider trading Adam Thielen to the Vikings?
I think we answered this previously, right? I mean, the answer is no. I don't think you should trade Adam Thielen because I don't think you're going to get a lot. You know, I think the report was that the compensation is an issue right now.
Yeah,
which makes sense. It's the Panthers probably want a 4th-round pick, and the Vikings are like, no, he's 65. So you can have a 6th-round pick. And the Panthers are balking at that, which, not really surprising. I mean, look, if I'm the Panthers and I have any designs on being good this year, what I don't do is take for granted that Hunter Renfrow, who looked sharp in the preseason, is going to be healthy for 17 games and just simply replace Adam Thielen's entire production. Now, it could happen, and if it does, and they get decent value for Thielen, good on them. But I would be really surprised if they were to get more than a 5th-round pick for Thielen from Minnesota, even though Minnesota is pretty wide receiver needy. Justin Jefferson a little banged up still, that hamstring injury. Jordan Addison going to miss some time with suspension. I get it, but man, I mean, Carolina, if you want to be good, you want to give Bryce Young the best chance to succeed. Let's not act like your wide receivers are so good that you can get rid of them. I mean, this is a wide receiver room. Yeah, they've invested in Xavier Legette and Ted McMillan over the last 2 years. I mean, no doubt it's a better room than it was 2 years ago. But I would be a little cautious about just moving on from a talented but albeit older wide receiver who's a really good possession guy that been the security blanket for Bryce Young for the last 2 years. I mean, if anything, let's say your offensive line struggles in pass pro or has some regression, which is not crazy. You put Renfrow and put Renfrow and Adam Thielen out there and give Bryce Young some easy short yardage targets that opens it up downfield. I think it's if they deal him, great, but just don't. I wouldn't trade him away for a ham sandwich, as Pete Prisco.
No, and maybe we did talk about this last week, but I've been talking about it now for however many days. I just don't think you mentioned it. You're not going to get enough of a return to really make you think about it, and I think we are assuming too much if we say that Bryce Young, not that he needs Adam Thielen, right, but if we're assuming too much, if we just assume that Tedero and McMillan is the main target that Bryce will go after all the time, or that Xavier Legette is ready to assume the role of solid number 2, or even that Jalen Coker is ready to be that guy who takes over for Thielen. We're just assuming too much. And on top of that, I throw the tight ends in to this equation, and I'm not sure the Panthers have a trustworthy tight end yet. So, I've talked about Thielen as that element of their offense.
I would almost argue too that take Adam Thielen and Hunter Renfrow, given their history, their age, sort of the way that you have to play the position over the middle of the field, and what's more likely is that you're going to get 17 games from both of them, right? And then, so it's if you think you can get 17 games from Hunter Renfrow, that's awesome. But I don't know, man. I would just reduce Adam Thielen's snap count on a weekly basis, and then supplement it with Hunter Renfrow. And if you get into the season, and all of a sudden the offense is clicking, and I don't know, it seems really short-sighted to me to suggest that all right, we're good, we can move on from Adam Thielen. And then, it feels obvious, and Hunter Renfrow is going to suffer some kind of injury in week 2, and suddenly everyone's pointing at the Panthers and saying, why don't they have a security blanket for Bryce Young?
Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBS Sports, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Real quick, back to the Bengals, who, by the way, ESPN flashed up their Super Bowl odds, and the Cowboys were at plus 5,000. Wonder why. But the Bengals were at plus 1,800. That, to me, is way too short for the Bengals. I mean, how much better? I mean, Trey Hendrickson was with the Bengals last year, right?
Yeah, their defense was atrocious.
Yes. What changed?
You could find them north of 20 in certain places. You know, they're right in the same range as. But I mean, like, let's put it this way: you can get the San Francisco 49ers at 20-1, or the Bengals at 22-1. Now, Joe Burrow might go out and have an MVP season.
Sure.
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins might put up monster numbers. But that team has to contend with the Ravens in that division. That team has to contend with the Steelers team that's going all in that division. By the way, before you even get to the Super Bowl, you're almost certainly going to have to beat. You're definitely going to have to beat one of Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, and maybe both of them, and deal with Lamar Jackson in the postseason. So, I mean, if you think the Bengals are going to come out and Al Golden's going to fix that defense, they're going to slow everybody down and be incredible on offense, win the division, get the 1 seed, then yeah, I think like 20-1, 18-1. If you think that's going to happen, 18-1 is a good bet. I don't think that's going to happen. So I would be much more likely to say, you know what? If the Bengals make the playoffs and their defense was improved, I'll simply just bet them at like 10-1 or 12-1 when the postseason starts, because they're going to have to go through those. Like the path in the AFC as a wild card to get to the Super Bowl is so hard. And then you have to get to the Super Bowl and beat maybe the defending champion Eagles. Like maybe a Rams team that gets hot and just like they beat the Bengals before. You just have to do so much in the AFC to win the Super Bowl that 18-1 to me is just way too short for the Bengals.
Will Brinson joining us here. All right, final question. I saw this earlier. I think I might have seen it yesterday. Maybe you feel the same way. The declarative statement was, and I don't remember who made this, Cam Ward will be the Rookie of the Year, and the Tennessee Titans will win the AFC South.
That's a spicy take.
That is a spicy take. He could be the Rookie of the Year.
They're like, I mean, if you like that spicy take, they're like. I think you'd find him like 8-1 to win the division.
Yeah,
which is a huge
because people just assume it'll be Houston.
Yeah, or Jacksonville's 3-1. Yeah, I mean Houston's minus 105, I think, and Jacksonville's 3-1. I like Jacksonville at 3-1. I mean, Jacksonville.
I don't like Jack. I'm not a Trevor Lawrence guy.
Yeah, it's either like Trevor Lawrence or you don't. I do. But yeah, I mean, like Tennessee 8-1 to win the division. If Cam Ward's awesome, it's not a crazy price. I was actually I was doing radio this morning, and somebody asked me what I thought about Cam Ward's over/under 18.5 passing touchdowns. I like the over there a lot.
Sure.
I mean, that's 1 per game for a team that probably won't be great on defense, probably going to be trailing a bunch. He's probably going to have to throw a lot. He's willing to run around, take risk, and throw the ball downfield and create big splash plays. We saw that in Miami. So, yeah, I mean, like that would interest me more than betting on them to win the division. Look, if he is great, like if he's Jaden Daniels or something, like not specifically, but like a version of that, a guy who comes in as the number one top pick and plays incredible football, they could win that division. It's not that great, but I don't know, man. I'm bullish on the Titans a little bit, but I'm not like super high on them.
Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com. We start with actual games next week, sir. I appreciate your time.
Man. All right, buddy. See you, man.
Talk to you later.